Oh, yeah.
You will obey me while I lead you and eat the garbage that I feed you until the day that we don't need you. Don't go for help, no one will heed you. Your mind is totally controlled. It has been stuffed into my mold, and you will do as you are told until the rights to you are sold.
Welcome to the Liberal Buzz Show. My name is Denise Dory. I'm your host. This show is called the Liberal Buzz Show, and we call it that because humor has a liberal bias, always has. So, a liberal possessing and manifesting a free and generous heart, bountiful, appropriate and or fitting for a broad and enlightened mind, free from narrowness, bigotry, or bondage to authority or creed. Any person who advocates liberty of thought, speech, or action. So, before the Democrats aren't really adhering to those values as much as a person might like. So, if they want to win elections, Democrats, you've got to listen to what you call the left-wing liberals, the progressives. We've got the the Bernie the Bernie Crats went a little corporate on us with cannabis, so I'm not going to, they deserve credit for a lot, but Bernie wasn't for Prop 64, which is, I'm doing this show for Shona, who's in the hospital right now, and she actually paid for my training about 11 years ago to do these shows for the cannabis community, so I'm still doing those shows whether she can make it or not. So, and please send my friend Shona the best of vibes. She needs it. After the way she's been poisoned horribly in her apartment. So we're getting her her statements here. There's a lot of talk about equity, mostly for industry-approved elite. See, this is the supervisors who this was posted July 5th, 25th. The supervisors create office to handle incoming cannabis businesses. And we urge you to boycott Spark, too. Let's put that up so people can see it. Boycott Spark. Yeah, boycott them big time. Well, anyway. Let's just set it up there for a minute. You'll be able to see it. All right. Now we've got the lawmakers are seeking to expedite cannabis rulemaking without any public comment whatsoever. This just happened a few days ago. It's the latest news on weed wars. We're in a big fat weed war. It's the billionaires versus the little people like us. They want us to give them all of our money, and we go to jail for 7 plants and we buy their pot. That's basically what it is. So don't stand for it. We got to resist all we can. See, Axis of Love, for whom Shona is the educational director, worked on equity since day one. I'm quoting her, and like many other poverty scholars, are not getting in the door. And then Supervisor Sheehy, who was appointed by the mayor, at least Bevan, always had an open door. Bevan Dufty. I didn't always agree with his voting, but I will always remember his open door to everyone. Sheehy needs to change, and this equity BS is just industry candy coated if patients' advocates are locked out of the policy table, which we have been, and have been since 2009. I've got the videos to prove it. So they're creating this cannabis office. We'll talk about that first. And so they have not done a good job in getting equity in the tech sector. This is Sandra Feuer seemed to be, she was more liberal when it came to smaller fees, and she knew that the people who were harmed by drug policies would be excluded from the cannabis businesses. And so the supervisor, Asai. I don't know how he won, but he did. Anyway, he's the supervisor, ran against Alvarenga. And let's see, the city, right now, they have 39 permitted dispensaries and 28 permitted pending applications, pending permits. Now, it's going to cost around $2,000, you know, for $2,000 for a license. It starts at $2,000. So that's pretty. Now, Malia Cohen, she, I don't know, she kind of went to the dark side here, so I support her sometimes, but she went to the dark side here. And then the Emerald Triangle here. People have been applying for permits in the Emerald Triangle, but not as many as they expected because it's just too expensive. Well, duh, because it's not legal. So that's... Now, they're trying to call it recreational, but if cannabinoids remove plaque from forming Alzheimer's proteins from the brain cells, why are we calling it recreational when 1 out of 3 people gets Alzheimer's or cancer? Now, the Emerald Triangle has... There are 3,000 applicants in Humboldt and Mendocino counties. Marks the clearest answer yet to the question posed last year before and after the state's popular vote on that predatory Prop 64 we had that voters were duped into supporting. Growers and others in long illicit parts of the trade come forward and participate in the new legal marketplace? Not really. Well, there's issues cropping up. There's complaints of burdensome regulations and costs that growers fear will hobble them at a key time when the competitive field is taking shape. And the basic fee to apply for a permit is between $2,000 and $13,000, not including the upfront cost of upgrade. You know, like you have to upgrade to bring it up to grade so that your growing area is up to permit, is up to code. So you have to meet the requirements, and there's all sorts of them. And some of them, I agree with some of them about using, well, indoor lights aren't as dangerous as they used to be because they used to use, now they're using LEDs, which aren't as flammable, don't take as much energy, but the sodium halide, those things, boy, those are what sucks up a lot of energy and catch on fire. So 651 applications for cultivation have been turned over, have been turned in, and that's just in the past 2.5 months in Mendo County, where the county has attempted to give so-called mom-and-pop farmers an edge by borrowing newcomers from the permit process till 2020, which is when the Monsanto and the mob and the weed mafia is taken over. Well, then, Eric Pearson's also the part of the weed mafia too. So I urge you to, boycott Spark. Like I said, don't buy your weed there because they voted to put us in jail for weed. They actively campaigned to do it too. So anyway, I don't support them at all. So. Now, Omar Figueroa, he's a real hero in this movement. Omar Figueroa, he's a Sebastopol, which is up in near Russian River. He's an attorney for our community, for the compassionate community, because when we get busted, he's going to come to our aid and come to us in jail, and we'll get to talk to him for 15 minutes. So he's helping clients who plan to start cannabis ventures in the county, and he expects to file several permit applications in the coming weeks. Now, there aren't as many as he was thinking, but growers are between a rock and a hard place. It's just not worth it to grow legally in the county. And Eric Pearson of Spark, now, he's the one who, donates to Drug Police Alliance, Drug Get Off My Lawn. Yeah, they're the ones connected with the Federal Reserve Bank, and the petroplastic industry and the pharmaceutical, which is all the same thing. And they took over our herb in the first place, so they're taking it back. So that's pretty much the story right there in a capsule. So it'll cost Spark, he says, boo-hoo, $15,000 to file an application for a greenhouse in Glen Ellen. And you know, he's looking to be a billionaire, if he isn't already. And so what we're saying is don't leave us out of the process, which is so far what's happening. Now, after August, we're supposed to hear something from Supervisor Kim's office about the resolution for the Board of Supervisors to vote on for compassionate care gardens, so that we can grow plants for people who need free cannabis on a regular basis. So they're called compassionate gardens. We already had them until this ridiculous Prop 64, you know, gave us more penalties and fines. And I don't want anyone to sit there and think that cannabis is legal. If there's a 3-year third strike, like if you're eligible for the 3 strikes law, the third arrest will get you life in prison. So that's 25 years. So it's not legal, and there's all kinds of. It doesn't protect parents, which is. I have a chance to adopt kids, and I don't think I'm scared to, you know, for a lot of reasons, but mainly because of the cannabis. You know, they don't protect parents. What do you do? And you can't be protected in your workplace, so there's that. And so I just want you to know that it's not Prop 64 anymore. I mean, not Prop 215 anymore, not SB 420. And now this is what Shona had posted on her wall that I'm going to quote. It's called California Lawmakers Seek to Expedite Cannabis Rulemaking to ensure they can meet their January 2018 deadline to establish a new regulatory system for medical and recreational marijuana businesses. Cannabis legislators have established an emergency rulemaking process that won't include a normal public comment period. So the lawmakers fear that going through a typical comment period would prevent the state from issuing marijuana business licenses beginning January 2nd. But look, you know, they really don't want to see these signs either. I know, I've got more where that came from. And so the new emergency regulations are expected sometime this fall, and the rec rules will follow after that. We're going to first try to micromanage the medical community first. Well, Jerry Brown was talking about just combining the two. They're playing with our heads. They want nothing about us without us. You know, regulate greed. Let's regulate that. That's a lot more dangerous than the herb ever has been. So they're expected sometime this fall, and the issue facing California legislators is that the merging of the medical and rec system in June forced several state agencies to go back to the drawing board. So they're great, just flailing around, you know. It's not gonna. I just laugh at, you know. Every time I see those comments, I just put my little laugh emoji every time I see their claims on Facebook. Oh, how great we are, you know. Yeah. So the agencies. I mean, I've smoked weed without a permit for a long time, and I don't feel we need one. Let us grow in peace. Regulate like lettuce. Let us grow in peace. The agencies have to scrap their rules because of a trailer bill that was tacked onto California's budget. The Department of Consumer Affairs Bureau of Cannabis Control, and now there's new emergency regulations. So Hezekiah Allen, yeah. They want to do it really fast. They want to do this quickly, but they're making it really hard for us. I'm sorry Shona couldn't call in. Okay, I talked about that. And then over here. Oh. I'm going to give you some examples here. They're spreading a lot of misinformation in British media about, it's called Clear Cannabis Reform, and they're from the UK. I've been trolling them on Twitter, and because they're spreading misinformation. So whenever you see misinformation, you've got to stop it. And don't let people get away with it. Any misinformation about cannabis being bad for you, because it's just, don't accept that. It's not, the argument is invalid. And let's see. Oh, it's about 4 minutes. We've been working the trailer bill. It's sort of like the trailer bill that's keeping them from implementing the regulations are the budget process. It's all about the budget and where the money goes. And really what I'd like to do is just get rid of this law too. But it seems like people aren't really going to stay on the grid. So that's how it's looking now. The structural questions. Prop 64 was divisive and created factions within our community. Well, gee, really? And for the first time in about a year or more, it feels like we're all on the same page. But are we? I mean, they haven't asked me because I'm not allowed at the table. They want to create a unified brand and band together and enter the market with a stronger presence. So that means, I guess, they're going to consolidate. And the Farmers Association, Kristen Nevado, said the trailer bill also includes language prohibiting monopolization of marijuana trades and protection against asset forfeiture and civil fines. Because you know the DEA just loves to grab our stuff. They love to, you know. In fact, Trump is making it easier. Jeff Sessions is making it easier to actually have defendants suspected, not convicted, but suspected of a crime, submitting to asset forfeiture. So that's just, you know. But it looks like this administration is going down. I don't know about the president. But we'll have to just see it. When I get home, something else will probably have happened. So, constant news dump there. The local governments have the right to deny cannabis licenses and ban them altogether, and so there's no protection with this so-called legal. So like 75% of the state, you still can't grow pot. So, legally. And one point, so see, the city is putting in over $1 million to have this task force for cannabis. And then they might, and Cory Booker is going to put a bill to deschedule cannabis, which is what needs to happen. So that, it would be interesting to see how it being federally descheduled would conflict with the laws already so-called voted in. Let's call it a ballot investment. So we'll see how that conflicts. It's going to probably, I mean, federal law supersedes state law, but then federal law can also say, well, you have to abide by the state. So just like, I'd like to make San Francisco a sanctuary city for not only undocumented immigrants, for cannabis patients as well, who like to receive free cannabis from Compassionate Gardens that have been outlawed now because we weren't allowed at the table, like I've been saying over and over. So I'm sorry I had to go on and on about how mad I am again, but we're going to get through this. I have complete faith and hope in my viewers, and I know people who would watch this show probably believe in civil rights and liberal values, liberal buzz, which is kindness. And follow me on Twitter if you like, or you can just check out my tweets. And yeah, Twitter's what, you know, I post a lot, and I have a lot more followers on Twitter than Facebook. And okay, now Psychic Frank has a show at 5 p.m. next Thursday. He comes over and throws the cards for me a few times, and he's an inspiration. I hope you can check him out. He's on every second and fourth Thursday at 5 p.m. And I hope you can adopt a shelter pet. They're waiting for you now. You know they are. We've also got next episode. Hopefully Shona will be here to help me do the show. And she had some facts about it that I just can't duplicate. She's just too switched on, and she's been dealing with the policy. I'm not the policy expert. But thank you, and tune in again. We'll be back, I guess it'll be the 17th of August.